Alright, so I know that this is going to be a really shocking vlog for a lot of people who either know me personally or have been following this channel, but I'm so excited to talk about my recent autism diagnosis and raise awareness about how autism presents differently in women. So let's get into today's topic. I am so freaking excited. One, that I was able to go through the neuropsych testing to get this autism diagnosis. I talked about this in another video, the whole process of the neuropsych testing, and then I was able to get in, and then it was covered by my insurance, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. And so today I want to talk about actually being diagnosed with autism and basically raising awareness about autism in women because it presents differently than with men. My personal story of how I thought I had autism and then wanted to be tested was I went to an event with someone who I really saw myself in this person. They were a presenter, a speaker, and I was like, oh my gosh, I see so many traits of myself in this person. And then I heard that they had been diagnosed with autism, and I was like, wow, that's pretty incredible. And then I started doing a ton of research on autism and got into the algorithm on Instagram of autism in women and how it presents differently. And I kept being like, wow, I would read something and I'd be like, that sounds like me, or that sounds like how I feel. It just started adding up more and more and more. But I would kind of tell people, hey, I think I might have autism, and like nobody would believe me that I had autism or suspected that I was on the spectrum. But I kept advocating for myself, and here we are. So a key point of the story is like, if you think you might have it, and I kept doubting myself, like because nobody would believe me, I kept doubting myself. I was like, man, maybe I am just, making this up. Like I really identify with these things, but a lot of people are telling me, oh, that's just your chronic illness, But I'm really proud of myself for pushing through to get this diagnosis. So I really want to talk about autism in women. So I sent my dad this article about how autism presents differently in women right before I was diagnosed. And for the first time, my dad was like, wow, this sounds like this article was written about you. And so I think he started to believe like, oh my gosh, she might have autism. And so I want to talk about what was in the article because I think this information is so important. So I'm gonna be looking at my screen because I copied a bunch of stuff out from this article, and I'm gonna link the article below. So please go check it out. Obviously, I'm not talking about everything from the article, so please go check it out. Their definition of autism is it's a neurodevelopmental condition that shows up as differences in social interaction, communication, sensory processing, and behavior patterns. So simply put, it means that the brain processes the world differently. It's not a mental illness or disorder, it's just different wiring, and it can lead to feelings of overwhelm. So for me, I feel overwhelmed a lot, especially with social interactions, and that's the autism. So the difference with men and women, there are huge differences, and one particular difference is that women and girls are more prone to masking, which means like emulating social norms to a greater degree and hiding some of their autistic traits, which could potentially lead to social isolation. So masking is basically not doing behaviors, like repetitive behaviors that other people might consider weird. And so for me, like when I get really excited, like I will just like start to freak out. Like my hands will go kind of crazy. I'll do like clapping, like I go like this, like I get like so excited. And it's just this like energy in me that I feel overwhelmed with like excitement or something, and so I do kind of like repetitive behaviors. So the article goes on to say that this masking means that autistic women and girls may find it more difficult to advocate for their needs. Also, autistic people often have special interests that may take up a lot of their attention, but women and girls are more likely to choose socially acceptable interests, right? Like animals, books, music, and art that are less likely to be noticed. So for me, a huge special interest of mine is cats. Is anybody surprised? Probably not if you really think about it. And just animals in general. Another special interest is flags. So I've memorized all the flags of the world, and I did that before my brain got really bad actually. So it's still up here. Most of them. Some of them are really close, but most of them I'll be able to just like pick them out. So it takes women on average 6 years longer than men to get diagnosed with autism too, which is sad. And women with autism are also more likely to be misdiagnosed first with things like borderline personality disorder, anxiety, or PTSD as well. And why is that, right? So most diagnostic criteria, surprise, surprise, were developed by studying boys who were white and had highly externalized traits or symptoms, right? So when we think of autism, we think of that. Highly externalized traits instead of more subtle things that women might have. And so because of that, most of the checklists often miss the way that autism shows up in women and people of color. So a huge reason why women and girls are less likely to be diagnosed is because of our socialization, right? So that's very different from boys and men. And so the article says like girls and women are often socialized to care for others, hold the mental load, and people please. So masking is extremely common. And also the person said they see a lot of fawning behaviors with autistic people. So saying yes when they mean no, which I do a lot sometimes, although I'm getting a lot better at trying to set boundaries. Overfunctioning in relationships, people pleasing to the point of burnout. And you know, autism again can look very different person to person, but many autistic women are deep thinkers, empaths, and are often just mislabeled with anxiety. So a lot of the more male characteristics are more externalizing, and women tend to like internalize and just like struggle in silence. So it said autistic women are often the good quiet girl or the sensitive one. I've been labeled both of those things. So why it helps to be diagnosed according to this article. One, it gives you permission to stop pretending to be something that you're not, which has been like so amazing for me to just be like, okay, I'm going to embrace my stims and unmask more, because masking takes so much energy too. It gives clarity on why the person struggled and felt different. I've felt left out a lot in my life. You can help implement much needed accommodations as well as self-compassion. So for me, I have been so much kinder to myself because I'm like, oh my God, I know why I do these things, or I realize why I have trouble with these things. And so I'm just being so much nicer to myself in these ways. Also just, you know, accommodating myself. So being like, okay, this is my ideal weekly schedule, and I don't get overstimulated, I don't get overwhelmed, and I can kind of thrive in this schedule and not just survive. So I should do this weekly schedule. And it also opens up more opportunities to find community in autistic circles as well. I just feel so validated, so validated. I believed in myself and I second guessed myself at times, which also doesn't feel good. But like finally, I feel validated that I was right. I was right about this. Oh my God, it just feels so amazing. Being undiagnosed can lead to repeated burnout, which I definitely have had. Chronic stress and inflammation. You know, I have endometriosis, which is an inflammation disease. Sjogren's syndrome, which is inflammation. The person who did the testing said she sees a lot of overlap with autoimmune conditions and chronic fatigue stuff. So it's all intertwined, right? Difficulty advocating for yourself or setting boundaries. I'm really working on that, but I've struggled with that my whole life. And all of this struggle can lead to physical health issues such as fatigue, surprise, surprise, digestive issues, have that too, and hormonal dysregulation, endometriosis, partly because of the toll of long-term masking and hypervigilance. I'm a very hypervigilant person. I'm just constantly like, one, I'll notice patterns or things that other people don't, but I'm a very hypervigilant person. So signs of autism in women according to this article: feeling out of step with others despite appearing confident, mimicking others to fit in. I watched Lily Singh and a ton of YouTubers, and really a lot of my mannerisms and personality is literally just me having mimicked those types of people to be like, oh, I want to act like them because they're like normal. Exhaustion after socializing or performing normal. I get so tired after anything social, and it's autism. Struggles with small talk, social roles, or interpreting tone. Intense internal worlds and rich imaginative lives. I mean, creative writing is something that I love to do, and I have a very imaginative internal world. Deep emotional sensitivity or sensory sensitivity. So I have a lot of sensory issues, so I get overstimulated very easily by sound, light, smells, and so I use noise canceling headphones now. We try not to do anything that's like scented. And deep emotional sensitivity, according to my results, I basically am just hypersensitive to internal states and also external states of emotion. Shutdowns or meltdowns when overwhelmed. So a lot of the time, my parents and I have had this thing, we just thought it was like chronic illness, but I'll get to a point where I'm so overstimulated that I will just freak out unless people leave the room immediately. And so if I say parrot to either of my parents, they just have to leave the room immediately, or I have to go into my own room, then I'm able to calm down on my own. But I think otherwise it would lead to a meltdown. So need for routine and predictability, so my perfect schedule. Chronic anxiety, burnout, perfectionism, or identity confusion. I have perfectionism. Also an emotional attachment to stuffed animals. Oh my God, I love stuffed animals so much. So that was the article, and I'm just gonna talk about a couple other reasons that I thought I was autistic. So again, I have food issues and also touching certain textures. So I just use a fork when I eat almost everything. I hate like damp things touching me. So again, those like sensory things. Socially, if I'm in public, like going to a grocery store or something, and I see someone I know, even if I want to talk to that person, that is an unscheduled social interaction. And I will go to great lengths to go into other aisles or something to avoid that social interaction because I just can't. It feels very stressful and anxiety inducing. So when I was younger, people always thought that I was older than my years, but now that I'm adult, people think I'm younger than my years because of some of the things like loving stuffed animals. I also sleep with the dinosaur hands, even if that like hurts my wrist. It's just comforting to sleep that way. I don't know why. Automatic things have always really freaked me out, like automatic trains on doors, or in our local Giant, there is a robot and it walks around on its own, and I like lost it. I was so freaked out of this robot. I also go nonverbal when I'm really tired. I just thought that that was my chronic fatigue. And again, basically chronic illness and autism are very closely related. So it's almost hard sometimes to piece out what is what. But some of my stims that aren't necessarily good are I pick my lip. I just do it without even thinking. I do a lot of neck cracking, you know, joint cracking. Like I said, I clap a lot when I'm really excited or like that. I also hear electricity when others don't. I'll be like, what is that sound? And I'm like, oh, it's that light bulb. So I also do this thing where I'll sing the same song lyric over and over again, like all day. Not the whole song, just like one lyric that sounds or feels good to me, or just a word. I say literally a lot because it feels really nice coming out of my mouth. Another calming behavior that I used to do all the time was I used to chew gum 24/7, and now I have TMJ, and so I can't do that stim anymore, and it's really sad. I just thought that it was for my nausea, and I did chew gum for my nausea because it did help. But now I literally, like in the report, it listed calming behavior as chewing gum, and I was like, oh, that was the autism. Got it. I also need really specific instructions because ambiguity confuses me a lot. She literally made that on the report. She said notable for taking questions, literally. So yeah, those are the main things. It's very sensory, it's very social. Those are the areas that I kind of deal with the most challenges in, I would say. But from my report itself, she mentioned that like the symptoms may not manifest until social demands exceed capacities or may be masked by learned strategies. So I think when I was in college, I was pushing myself to the max, and then when the pandemic hit and I was able to really slow down, obviously my health got worse too for various reasons, but I think that that's something that might have contributed to it, was really slowing down during the pandemic and realizing like, oh, I'm in burnout, maybe from the autism. So she talked a lot about in my report as well, individuals on the autism spectrum struggle with kind of becoming in tune with their bodies and knowing when they need breaks. And I definitely have this, like when I start something, I want to get it done, even if I'm getting into the fight or flight. And so this is something that like I'm working on. Another thing that was really helpful was the neuropsych testing lady. She interviewed me, she interviewed my mom, she had us fill out a bunch of stuff for the autism, but she also referred to testing that I had done in high school, which was a neuropsych testing slightly different than what I did now, but it was for accommodations, for like ACT, SAT, college accommodations. And she said that there were things in there that also stood out to her as, oh, that's a flag for autism. So it wasn't even just now, it was like stuff that had been done like more than 10 years ago, and she was like, yeah, there were flags in there for autism for sure. So that was also really encouraging for me, at least, and felt very validating. Overall, I hope that today's video has been enlightening. I'm going to do a lot more videos on autism in the future because this is something I'm so passionate about. I'm learning so much more about it because I'd done so much research, but people kept telling me I didn't have autism, so I was like, okay, fine, and I kind of stopped doing research. And now I can get back into research and do videos on autism and different things with autism to raise awareness about it, because autism in women is very, very different than men. And this is something I'm incredibly passionate about. And I want other people who might have autism to find the resources they need and to have people who believe them, because that was something that I've really struggled with in my journey. And so yeah, I hope you'll be kind in this video. It's okay if you're surprised if you personally know me, but yeah, just please come into this with like an open mind. Hopefully you learned some things today. I know I have learned so much through this process. I know this was a lot. This has been a very like emotional journey for me, and I am so grateful to have been diagnosed. Like, it feels like such a privilege to have a diagnosis. And so yeah, I am like a baby on this journey. I'm just starting out. So if I said anything in this video that was not accurate, please feel free to correct me in the comments very kindly if you can, because I'm very sensitive. I am a highly sensitive person, and now we know why. So yeah, thank you so much for being here on this journey. This is a video like that I'm really proud of and really excited to do more videos on this to raise awareness, because it's so freaking important. And so I'm really grateful for you taking the time to watch this video, to hear more about my journey and spread the word. Like, please share the article below with people, because that was, I think, a turning point too for my family to see me in a different way and to be like, oh, this all makes sense now. So please share resources, learn more, and let's keep raising awareness about autism in women. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video.